Hello and welcome to a new video. In this one we are going to be renovating a Spot On Toys Austin A60 Cambridge. Very tired looking example, would have originally been manufactured around 1963 and sported a roof rack with a pair of skis and ski poles on the top. Obviously long since lost, an extremely play-worn example and very much ripe for restoration. While you're watching this one spin round, I'd like to thank any new and or returning viewers to the channel. I hope you enjoy the video, and please, if you haven't already, do consider subscribing. It does make me feel happy as the numbers go up that what I'm producing is content that you guys are interested in. Pity I said all of that really. I feel a bit embarrassed now. So let's get on with the restoration. Let's get the case apart. Usual case of a couple of rivets at the bottom, pre-drilled. Grills fell out already. Little bit of extra leverage, get the back piece off. Yeah, didn't do a very good job of drilling that out, I'm afraid. Back bumper's kind of damaged but salvageable, I think, at this point. The interior is made of that nice soft plastic that they usually use on the Spot On toys, and is all there and complete and showing no signs of wear. They don't rivet the roofs in as a rule on these, or at least not on any that I've worked on so far. Just to tidy the rivet up a little bit there. I've already stripped and primed it, and I'm just applying now the turquoise paint that I've mixed. It's a mixture of jacquard, turquoise and jacquard white, just to pale it off a little bit. The original colour was a little darker than I wanted, and I was trying to mimic one that I'd seen in a classic car magazine some time ago. And I have a vague recollection of a grocer at the end of my street owning one back in the 1960s. So it's yet and again another nostalgia trip for me. Just building it up in nice light coats. And the sharp-eyed amongst you will notice as we go along with the video, originally there are holes in the roof and a little later there are not. It's because I almost completed the build and decided to try to test fit the roof rack that I'd been supplied. And honestly, it was such an awful thing and I struggled with it so much, I gave up in the end. But in doing all of that, I really did spoil all the paintwork on the roof. So I decided to go back and fill the holes and live without the roof rack. So a little bit later on you'll notice suddenly the holes in the roof disappear as if by magic, but in actual fact it's by design. There we go, there's the later version, and I'm applying at the moment an Intercoat Clear that'll allow me to handle the body without spoiling the paint, getting it permeated with grease or anything like that, because there's quite a bit of masking to do to paint the roof and the side stripes white. So we've done that as a kind of protection for the paint in between coats. And here we go with the side stripe again. This is another homebrew. It's jacquard white with a small drop of yellow painting just to give it a bit of a cream look. I thought the white was just a bit too harsh on its own. Few nice light coats. Try not to blow your masking paper off if you can. I always do my actual outlines with thin vinyl tape because it seems to be more resistant to paint creep, and then go back in with the paper masking tape just to blank off the areas really and protect it from overspray. So I've masked off the areas that we've just striped. Fortunately, because I've given them a coat of Intercoat Clear, there's no danger that the tape will pull the paint off that's underneath. Catching the edges now on the front and the rear of the screen. Don't really want a blue line left showing when we put the windscreens back in. It's taking an extra coat than it probably normally would because I'm going over a blue with the jacquard cream colour that I mixed. Sometimes I'd neutralise this with a with a base coat, but in this case I thought it would be okay and I would get away with it, and I was fairly happy with the result. I thought he coloured it up quite well. And just recoating the base for the spot on toy. I've matched it with a grey from Paint Collection. They were nearly always grey, the base of these toys. I've come across the odd black one. Most of them were this kind of mid-grey colour, not unlike aerosol primer really, which I'm sure you could probably use if you wanted to mimic it. Just giving it a good coat all over. Never to be seen again once the two halves of the body are put back together, but you feel like you need to do these things, don't you? Right, so it's risky business time now. I've removed all the masking tape, and what I'm doing here now, carefully with the scalpel and the shaky camera, is that I'm removing paint from what would have been the chrome trim on the side body moulding. It's a very effective technique, but not without its risks. If you slip, you can and will spoil your paint. I'm using a Swan Morton 10A scalpel here with a nice shiny new blade in, so there shouldn't be any slip-ups, and hopefully no blood spatter either. I have showed you this technique before, but I thought it was worth looking at again. I suppose arguably the best practice would probably be to cut away from you, but to be honest, I don't have the level of control when doing that, so I'm taking the risk of cutting towards myself. I'm certainly not recommending it. I'm simply saying that this is what works for me. Just knocking the excess paint off now with a nice dusting brush. Just a couple of finishing touches now. There'll be time to put it all together. So the screen's easy enough, it simply drops into place. There's no rivets or anything. The interior is a nice soft white plastic that they used on the spot-on cars that encompasses the suspension units as well. And it's easy enough, there's just a guide rail on either side and a slot in the plastic that it clips into. Just dropping the back bumper into place now. Actually wish I'd bought a new one of these, but I settled for, it was intact, but the chrome was a bit rough, so I settled for repainting it. But this is a new front bumper unit. I have to admit, it's an aftermarket part, and it was a bit of a faff. Didn't quite fit here and there. A couple of slots that should have been in it were missing. I had to do quite a bit of fettling to get it to fit. So I'm just dropping some super glue into the spot for the rear rivet. And lining the rivet holes up at the front there, and then the back wheels in place. Just making sure it's all lined up and everything's where it's got to be. This side, this front bumper section was a little bit tricky, not quite as nice a fit as I would have liked it to have been. In hindsight, I probably should have glued it into place. That's the back rivet in. Bit of zip kicker to set the super glue off. I'm not entirely sure why the camera keeps flicking light and dark. It's obviously some setting that I've got wrong. Give it a few moments for cure on the back there. Check the alignments on the front. And we're all done. And here's the finished product on the turntable for you. 1963 or thereabouts, spot on. Austin Cambridge A60. Few replacement parts on this one. Should have had a roof rack and some ski poles, but unfortunately they were so poor in quality I just wouldn't fit them. Ended up filling in the holes and painting the roof out white, which was, I think, a period thing anyway. In some hindsight, I wished I'd replaced the rear bumper, but I was working on a bit of a budget, so we have what we have, and I think that the chrome paint serves it pretty well. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Hopefully I'll see you in the next one. I've been Hellboy59. You've been patient. Thank you very much, and goodbye.